As I predicted, and I did a radio show last Friday, which you heard over the weekend. You can get it at freedomwatchusa.org, at rateamerica.com. It's up on YouTube. It was called Larry Klayman is Always Right, not because I'm arrogant, not because I'm conceited, because I understand the way Washington works, and generally speaking, the way everything works when it comes to our so-called government. I had been predicting for a long time that the Supreme Court would not come to the defense of President Trump for the massive fraud that's been committed, not just against him, but the entire American people. I wrote a book, It Takes a Revolution, Forget the Scandal Industry, where I dedicate it to Thomas Jefferson, who predicted that federal judges would become despots and tyrants. And of course, justices of the Supreme Court are federal judges. They're unelected. They think they're there for life. They're not really. They serve for good behavior. And Jefferson predicted that every 20 years or so, we'd have to wage another revolution and the blood of patriots would be shed again. And he said, what's a few thousand dead to preserve the tree of liberty? Well, we're at that point again, aren't we? Now, he didn't want to see bloodshed, and neither do I. But look, here's the bottom line. The three justices of the Supreme Court that Trump appointed, that he crowed about how great they were, stabbed him in the back just like Brutus, killed him, rendered him figuratively dead. Justice Amy Coney Barrett, Justice Brett Kavanaugh, Justice Gorsuch. All three of them, they looked out for themselves. It's a lot like the movie Back to School of Rodney Dangerfield, where he says to in his valedictorian address to the graduating class, look out for number one and don't step in number two. These judges look out for number one. Maybe they feared that if they ruled in favor of Trump, they'd be killed. Maybe they thought that if they didn't bend over to the Democrats, literally bend over, that the court would be packed now that Biden is in control. Maybe they thought that they want to just be part of the Washington club so they can go to parties and not make it look like they stuck their neck out too far and allowed Biden to come in. But the fact is this, the entire Supreme Court, and of course we have Chief Justice Roberts, is just simply a dishonest individual, now a leftist. He came out of his closet finally, but not in some ways. He's still in the closet. These people don't represent the interests of the American people. And we are now left unprotected. We now have a situation where a highly leftist Democrat administration is going to take hold. I've predicted that Joe Biden wouldn't last 6 months. Either he'll die of natural causes, maybe he'll have a stroke over this Hunter Biden thing. Nothing will ever happen. Believe me, he now controls the Justice Department, and even under John Durham, nothing's going to happen. We've seen nothing happen under Blowhard Bill, and by now the president should have fired this clown, just like he did Sessions, but he's not going to because the president fears that they have stuff on him. He's playing the game right now because in Washington, they have stuff on everybody. It's mutual assured destruction. But the American people have no protection. And it's time for us to rise up. And that's why I wrote this book. I predicted it well in advance. Now you see it. Now it's in your face. We have no justice system that will protect us. We certainly have no executive branch, a deep state there that just destroyed Trump and wants to destroy us. And you've got clowns, court jesters, and criminals in Congress, many of which also stabbed the president in the back, including the minority leader in the House of Representatives, Kevin McCarthy. You know, he thinks he's a pretty boy. This is a guy who said during the Benghazi investigation that it was just for political purposes to try to help the Republicans defeat Hillary Clinton. You know, real genius. It took him so long to get on board with regard to the Supreme Court case. You can see where he's coming from. So the American people are left defenseless. And at a time when China's power is increasing, not that Trump did enough, he didn't do enough. We have to pay for the vaccines. We have to pay for the bailouts. We have to bear the expense. Why did we have to bear the expense? President, and certainly Biden won't do it, should have seized the assets of China in this country to pay for all of it at a minimum. And Freedom Watch shouldn't have been the one to bring a lawsuit in Dallas, Texas, and Jerusalem, Israel, to recuperate the damage. And then we've got the Senate. Don't count on the Republicans keeping the Senate, but frankly, who cares if they do? Because you can see where they are. Establishment Republican rhino hacks. You can't count on them. The majority leader in the U.S. Senate, Mitch McConnell, took money from John Wong when I was running Judicial Watch, laundered through his wife, Elaine Chao, who was in the Trump administration. This is a guy who'll do anything for power and money. And even if the Republicans keep the Senate and keep the control, it doesn't prevent disasters internationally with Iran, China, North Korea. But as important as that, this is my prediction. If indeed the Republicans keep control with a majority, don't be surprised if some Republican senators turn up dead in Democrat states where a Democrat governor can appoint the replacement. And then all this ultra-leftist legislation transforming this country into a socialist communist gulag will come to pass. And as far as Hunter Biden is concerned, don't expect anything to happen. This is just something that Fox News is going to use to boost ratings, just like they tried to boost everything else. Hannity making major breaking developments on the scene. Nothing will happen, and that was my prediction too. Nothing happened to Comey, nothing happened to McCabe, nothing happened to the Lovebirds, the Bidens, the Clintons, the Obamas. Nothing will happen. John Durham is just simply a shill for the establishment Republicans. So it's time for us to rise up. It takes a revolution. Forget the scandal industry. Go out and get my book, read it. Read the Declaration of Independence before you read my book. I didn't write this for money. I wrote it from my heart. I have concrete suggestions on how we can wage a peaceful and legal revolution. And we better do it fast because this country is on the edge of slipping away. And as far as President Trump, we thank him for what he did, for the good things he did. And forget the notion he's going to be back in 4 years. He's not. The events will overtake themselves. He'd be 78 at any event, and he'll probably wind up getting indicted by the Democrats before that happens in any event, which will slow him down. So it's time for a reality check, fellow patriots. We must now do it for ourselves. Get up off the couch, put the Coke and popcorn down, turn the likes of Hannity off, join us in getting to work. And to do that, so you see where I'm coming from, get the book. It Takes a Revolution. Forget the scandal industry. You can get it at Amazon.com, all major booksellers. It's time to wage revolution. God bless you. God bless your family. God save your family. And God is with us if we help ourselves. I'll be back tomorrow with another special podcast. Until then, thank you for listening to me.